Hello everybody. In this final session I will show you some application of remote sensing methods. Vegetation indices serve to emphasize the vegetation cover on the scene. In addition to this function, they can also be used for graduation of the condition of the same type of vegetation on the same soil type. The slide shows the red left and infrared right channels of the same area. On the right slides of the images, radiometrically uneven appearance of the same surface can be observed. In the image of the red channel, darker vegetation areas can be seen on the same plots, while on the infrared channels those are shown as brighter. Since objects with more moisture have a weaker reflection than dry ones, it can be concluded that the mentioned surface contains a higher percentage of moisture than the others. It is about retaining water in the soil or underground water. On the red channel, these parts are darker because of the wet ground and the reflection is weaker. On the infrared channel, those parts are brighter due to the vegetation that draws more water from the soil with its roots, so photosynthesis is more pronounced and the reflection is stronger. The same phenomenon is visible in the image of the vegetation index. The interpretation is similar to that of the infrared channel. The current condition of the vegetation is better if it's located on wet ground or above groundwater. Photosynthesis is better, more oxygen is released into the environment and reflection is stronger. This is the basis of agricultural data analysis and the so-called precision agriculture. In the picture you can see another example of gradation of vegetation condition on the same plot. The green colored zones have the brightest values of the vegetation, while the yellows and the red zones represent less vegetation on the same plot with same soil type. This information can be used to make management decision on the application of inputs like fertilizer and irrigation. The analysis of the condition of the vegetation cover at the same location can also be carried out temporarily. On the slide you can see visualized calculate vegetation indices in similar period in 3 years from 216 to 218 in the area of the city of Zagreb, Croatia. In this case, it is important to note the relative differences in the index values. They are very similar in all calculated vegetation indices. Indifferent vegetation indices are calculated for each month in 3 years, and an unsupervised classification is carried out with these results. An objective representation of the current state of the vegetation cover at the location is obtained here. Unsupervised classification was performed because the condition of the one class is tested. That is, the index values are graded into the desired number of classes. All other objects that are not subject to the analysis are shown in gray. The classification results are interpreted in such a way that the darkest green pixel indicate class 1 and the lightest pixel indicate class 4. The index values are highest in class 1 and lowest in class 4. This means that the vegetation shown in class 1 is in the best condition, and pixel in class 4 is in the less good condition, so to speak. Experts in forestry and agronomy can make appropriate decision on the maintenance of such areas based on these results, similar to precision agriculture. The approximation land surface temperature can be calculated using remote sensing methods also. Landsat satellite system also creates thermal images that are used for that purpose. The slides show the estimate average land surface temperature values for the administrative area of the Zagreb country for each month in 2017. The next slide shows application of remote sensing method is in the monitoring of large forest fires. On the satellite images of the Landsat 8 system, the burned area and the current position of the fire front can be easily seen. Based on this data, with the additional of data on the digital terrain model, windrows, air temperature, fuel substance, type and amount of vegetation cover, it is possible to model the movement of the fire front for the purpose of better deployment of firefighting forces and faster control of the fire. After the fire has been extinguished, an estimate of the burned area can be obtained using remote sensing method. This can be done by conducting classification before and after the fire. Knowing the pixel size, spatial resolution, it is easy to determine the burned area for each individual class. The burned area can also be determined by calculating the normalized burn ratio, and the edited results of these activities can be displayed in the form of the thematic map on orthophoto or satellite maps. Using high resolution hyperspectral aerial images, centimeter and sub-centimeter, it is possible to detect prominent location on the canopy occupied by the mistletoe. The spectral range in which it is automatically possible to separate the spectral response of the carrier, silver fir, from the spectral response of the intruder, mistletoe, is from 0.4 to 0.66 micrometers. It is green and the beginning of the red portion of the spectrum. Because the values of coefficient of reflection are significantly different in the mentioned area from those in the results of the observed part of the spectrum, red and near infrared are similar or the same. On the x-axis, there are wavelength from 0.4 to 0.9 micrometers from the blue to near infrared, and on the y-axis, the coefficient of reflection value. The following examples of the application of remote sensing relates to the detection and mapping of marine oil pollution. The image on the slide shows the spectral response or spectral signature of slightly polluted water. Again, on the x-axis represent wavelengths from 400 to 900 nanometers, and on the y-axis the coefficient of reflection value. Contrary to the previous one, the image on this slide shows the spectral response of greatly polluted seawater. If the spectral response of clean or slightly polluted seawater is displayed on the same slide, the differences between them is easily visible. Polluted seawater can be well defined and separated by automatic methods using channels at the end of the blue through the green and the red, and some extent in the near infrared channels. The CleanSeaNet agency constantly collects data of the sea surface and Earth with the RadarSat-1 radar satellite system. At the moment of detection of pollution oil, the community in which the water body is treated is notified. On the slide in the upper left corner, you can see the result of such monitoring with marked potential pollution location, blue and green dots, and arriving at one of the mentioned location, oil pollution was found and documentation. You can see the oil slick on the RGB image in the lower left corner, and the same oil slick was recorded with the hyperspectral scanner. Hyperspectral images were parametrically geocoded, imaging in upper left corner, and classification was performed with selected channels. Managed image in lower right corner. In this way, the process of detection, documentation, and assessing the risk of oil pollution has been completed. That would be all for all presentation. Thank you for attention and goodbye.